All right, thank you for watching. I'm here with Brian Leininger, and we were just talking about the culture, like different cultures you would have on a sports team, and he was telling us a little bit about the culture here at Premier Combat Center in Omaha.
Yeah, for sure. So what we were just talking about, I guess, is we talked about how I got into MMA. So we'll get into that a little bit first, real quick. And it was kind of an outlet for me. I played a lot of sports in high school: football, basketball, baseball for a year, track, and I always just have been an athlete person. Never really knew what I wanted to do outside of sports. Sports has kind of just always been what I've done. So, but the culture is huge. Putting yourself in a room full of guys that want to do better and want to be, I said I've been in a room where at Factory X where to train there, Mark Montoya is the head coach, and he doesn't want you there if you don't want to be a world champion. You know what I mean? Like he tells you right off the bat. The first day I showed up, he's like, "Your goal is to be a world champion. Then you'll fit in here. If not, you're an energy vampire. You're taken away from the energy in the room." And and it's not going to be the place for you. So that kind of sets you straight right away. And
Just like negative people, like they kind of, it rubs off on you.
Yeah, it does. And I've been in, like, I bring up, not to shit on my, we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Okay, not to shit on my hometown, but like in Red Oak, the culture has kind of always just been, like, we've always just been below average. I'll put it nicely. So we've always been below average. And it's like, personally, when I was playing sports in high school, I was one of the better athletes in that area. Here, I'd probably just be like an average athlete, like I was telling you. But there, I was one of the better athletes. And when I think about it, I really should have taken the opportunity to lead by example there. But all I wanted to do in high school was just go to practice and then wait for practice to be done and just go home and play video games, freaking chill with my friends, be cool. And I never really had the work ethic until I put myself in a room or a culture full of people that wanted to do something, not be average, like wanted to do something great. So like coming to Premier Combat Center, which was kind of an outlet for me, after I played 1 year of football in college, but I was like, I ain't gonna make, I didn't put the work in to be great. So I came here and automatically put myself in a room full of guys that have been on the highest level, like Ryan Jensen, and at the time you had like Houston Alexander and all the Jason Brills and Ryan Roberts, Dakota Carr, all these guys that have been at the level of where you dream about, like, before you start going. So right away, like, just putting yourself in the right culture, I think, is the biggest part about your career, honestly. Like, just putting yourself in a room full of guys that want the same thing as you, and you don't even realize what you want until you put yourself in that position. Because, like, bringing it back to high school, it wasn't a goal of mine to be, like, it was a goal, but I didn't think of it as a realistic goal to be in the NBA or be in the NFL or anything like that. But here, when you're around guys like that, like, you see that other people are the same as you. Like, they came up the same way. Like, no one, especially in MMA, it's not about how athletic you are. It's just how much you want it, and you really can do it. So that's all I've been doing the last 4 years, coaching, living at Premier, doing security for Ryan Jensen. That's a joke we always make.
But, yeah,
because I'm here
protecting him.
Yeah, 16. I'm here 16 to 18 hours out of the day. Literally, I mean, I come in at 5 a.m., run some of the strength and conditioning classes. I'll take a little nap. I'll train 11 to 1 during team, Monday through Friday. I'll go get some food, come on back, kind of like we did today, and then we're right back into training and coaching from 5 to 8 or 5 to 9. So, and then I go home, shower, eat, go to bed, get up at 4:30 in the morning, do it all over again. So
Yeah, no, that's crazy. So I guess whenever it comes into coaching, so that probably has to help out a lot. It's like another training session, maybe not as taxing on your body.
Yeah, not as taxing, but coaching definitely helps. Like, not always in the way you would think. Like, so what we do is I've been coaching for about 2 years now in MMA classes. I
Mm-hmm.
was an assistant for a while, for maybe another year, but then I started taking over and actually doing the advanced classes and the MMA foundations classes that I do. And what it is we do the Jackson's curriculum, and it's like a 4 month cycle. So after every 4 months, it starts over from cycle one. So I've been doing the same thing for 4 month cycle for 2 years. So it does help in the fact of we're doing basic things. It's a foundations class.
Mm-hmm.
So like guys, and it's funny because people come in freaking out all the time, and they're like, I don't have any training. I don't have like, oh my gosh, I'm in a martial arts gym. Am I gonna get beat up? In the foundations class, that's what it's for. It's for people who have zero training. Like that's what it's meant for. That's when I started. I had zero. I'd never even thrown a punch at somebody in my life.
Yeah.
When I started, and I was actually the first one to come through when Jensen started the Jackson program.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first one of the very first ones. Me, Austin Gowan, Kevin Rodriguez, and a few other people were the first ones to come through his program. And so, what other perfect way to have someone run it than the first person who's been through it, which is why he asked me to run it probably a year later. So you don't need any experience. That's what MMA Foundations is for. We have guys come in with a bunch of different goals. Some people just want to learn how to defend themselves. Some people want to learn to fight, like because they want to fight competitively. Some people want to gain self-confidence, make friends. It's for all of that. So I encourage anybody watching this who doesn't train and ever thought about what it would be like to go into a martial arts gym. Like I can get how it's you walk in and you get a bunch of dudes with cauliflower ears and tattoos and guys that are fighters, but dude, it's honestly just being around those guys. It's like the nicest people that I've been around, honestly.
Yeah.
So it can be intimidating coming in, but you'll realize right away with the way we have our program set up, you don't need experience. Look, if your goal is just to lose weight or mix it up a little bit with cardio, or you want to do something besides run on the treadmill or lift and come in and learn a self-defense tactic and gain confidence, it's for you too. So you don't even spar. You don't even get punched in the face legitimately until you're in the advanced class. So it's for everybody. Come check it out. And I truly believe there's something to offer everybody for martial arts. It changed my life. It'll change yours too, 100%.
I like the idea of like having the curriculum because then you don't mix or miss anything, or maybe spend way too much time on a certain aspect and don't cover everything, because like otherwise, like what do you know, are you journaling or what? It sounds way easier to
go through the book. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 days a week for about 4 months. The first month is literally basic stuff: moving forwards, moving backwards, keeping your hands up. Making sure you're not getting out of position, you're on balance, weight shifting, things like that. So like guys who have been through the whole thing, it can get kind of dull. So I find ways to, if I got a lot of higher ranked foundations, so it goes gray, yellow, orange, and then once you're green, you're in the advanced class. So if you're a yellow belt, orange belt, and we're in cycle one and you've already been through it, I'll kind of find ways to spice it up, mix some extra things in there. That way you're not just keeping your hands up, moving forwards, moving backwards. But I tell these guys all the time, like, don't overlook doing the little things like that, because doing it, I still shadow box every day. I still am teaching. That's back to the point, which was, does it help you? Absolutely, because I've done it so much now. I've done it so much, moving forwards, moving backwards, not getting out of position, step back, step off, basic combinations, basic single legs, and the list goes on so many times that where now when I do it, I don't have to think about it. There's a lot that goes into fighting. You know this, being a fighter yourself, right? It's a spectator sport, right? That's why there's so many people that have a couple of drinks watching fights. Like it looks easier than it is, really, because there's so much that goes on, and that can happen between where are my hands, where's my head, is my head down, am I on balance, am I shifting my weight, throwing punches isn't just throwing punches, you gotta turn your hips over, be on balance. What happens when I throw a 1-2 and you throw a 1-2 back now, because it's not just on a bag. So there's a lot of things that goes into it, which is why one of the reasons I do love coaching is every single day it keeps me doing the fundamentals, so I don't have to think about them. If I go to learn something new, everything comes off of what my foundation. If you think about it, tall building, it's not going to last if the bottom level. right? You have to have something to build off of. Is what I tell these guys every time. So a lot of guys, like, we start with 2 rounds of shadow boxing at the beginning of class, and people will kind of dick around and kind of just sit there because it's not the funnest thing to do to stay in a good position, move forwards, move backwards.
Maybe people are self-conscious.
Yeah, really self-conscious.
I feel like I look stupid.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it looks stupid, but look, we're all here to get better. Everyone comes to the gym to get better. Like, no one looks stupid. No one's looking at you, judging you because they're thinking about themselves, you know. But like, there's so many things that goes into it, and just doing that every day. Take the shadow boxing seriously. Take it all seriously, because the more you do it, it's like tying your shoe. You go down and tie your shoe right now, you can talk to me at the same time. You don't even got to think about it, right?
Right.
But if you don't focus on those fundamentals, you go to learn something else, but you're not even doing the fundamentals right, then everything else falls apart after. So it definitely helps in that aspect. And I'm glad I got doing it as young as I did. You know, once I turned 20, I started doing that. It really opens you up to other perspectives that I wouldn't have seen if I was just training, you know, or just coming in. So it's awesome. I love my job. I'm blessed. I have an awesome opportunity, and I'm grateful for being able to coach and throw ladders down for people that are in the same position I was when I started. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and I saw that you all have a variety of bags in there. And one thing that I've heard, multiple people have different opinions on, I didn't see any speed bags. I've heard that they were debunked.
Yeah, so
it might not even be that good for you.
I haven't heard about all that. We don't have speed bags. We have a lot of other stuff for our fitness classes. If you want to do like boxing, a lot of our guys go down to Jackson's. So Jose Campos is our boxing coach, and he has like a non-profit gym over there at Jackson's downtown, I think, if I'm saying that right, but downtown somewhere. And I used to go there a lot more in my boxing days when I did a lot more boxing bouts. But they got the speed bag and all the different kind of double-ended bags over there, and that you can hit. But here, we just got the heavy bags and open mat, and then all the stuff for our fitness classes. So,
do you personally think that speed bags are beneficial?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe not the difference in your game, but it's still something else to mix it up. And so what speed bags are for is to make sure your hands are up and keeping your elbow up high in the same position. So when you're punching, you're not cycling your hand all the way down, and you're getting that shoulder cardio of keeping your hands up like this. So I think you can benefit from it. I don't think they're non-beneficial, but I also don't think they're a necessity either. You know what I mean? So like, we throw one in, no problem, if we have the room for it. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we got Spring Brawl just announced. We got a matchup against Virgil Monstar Knight.
Let's go, yeah.
What can you tell us about this?
Man, it's a fight that was supposed to happen last October. Didn't end up coming to fruition. Obviously, I don't know if it was an injury or what was going on, but it just wasn't communicated well between my manager and me and Virgil. So it is what it is. I ended up actually seeing him at the show, and he was talking to me about, and I respected what he told me. And he was saying, like, we didn't need to be fighting each other anyways. Like, we need to build each other up and do all this. And I was like, yeah, I feel that. Like, for me, it's never been about who I'm fighting. I don't have a grudge against anybody. Like, I'm here to get better, and I'm here to fight who they put in front of me. That's what I'm here to do. So after having that talk, I was like, all right, that's fine. And I just had three fights set up since then that didn't end up going through. Someone freaking couldn't pass a physical or didn't show up from out of town, or I came back for weigh-ins 2-3 times and got paid to show up and make weight, but no opponent. So I've been bothering Train. Shout out DC Management. Train is my manager, but I'm on his ass all the time. He probably hates me, man, because I'm always bugging him, and it's been a year since my fight. But I was like, hey, what we doing? He's like, hey, how about Virgil on April 11th? And I was like, you think that's actually going to happen? Like, have you talked to him, or is this like, because last time I talked to him, it was more of a, like, we didn't have a super high interest in fighting each other. And he was like, no, he's changed his tune since then, said he wants to fight. So I'm like, okay, we're going to fight then. So, like, if you want to fight, we can fight. I don't know if it's something he has against me or if he's doing it for the money, but I do know if you're doing it for the money when you fight me, you're fighting the wrong guy because
Right.
you're gonna get paid half. You're not getting your full. You're not getting your win bonus. You better sell a lot of tickets. I am not anywhere close to the fighter I was a year ago. My pro debut. We didn't get to see anything in my last fight, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But um, I've added so many weapons, so many things to my game. I'm in such a better spot mentally than I was even 6 months ago, 5 months ago. I think this past year that I've been off, I've grown more in this past year than my first 4 years, 100%. And the guys who train with me, they know, right? And I know. So I'm in a good spot. I'm ready, whoever it is, April 11th. Virgil's an exciting fight. He's a guy that,
Definitely.
he throws a lot of power into everything. He's explosive. So one thing I do know is there is no game plan. Like, I saw that you had kind of asked, like, hey, does it help that maybe you put in a camp for him?
Yeah.
And no camp for anybody really. I train twice a day. There's no camp for me. You know, there's times where, like, when I'm 6 weeks out, like right now, I'm really I want to peak at the end of my 6 weeks. So I'm doing my cardio from 30-45 for 2 weeks to 30 on 30 off to 45 on 15 off, and then getting to where I'm going to be peaking when I fight. But as far as training and being on point all year round for me, that's why any short notice fight I get, I'm taking if it makes sense, you know. And yeah, it's gonna be a good fight. I will be a lot more aggressive than I've been. And I just can't wait to show all my improvements and everything I've been working on since I went to Factory X and been going back and forth. So I'm in a good spot, and I can't wait. I honestly am super excited. What is that, a month from now?
Yeah, April 11th. Or,
April, so about a month, yeah.
Yeah.
It's March 9th, March 11th. Frick, man, it can't come soon enough.
Right? So, okay, I could be definitely wrong about this, but alright, so then you see your fight with Virgil, and then there's Harris and Devin Weber, and then Corey Davis and Jeff Souter. It seems to me like, however that little tournament plays out, like maybe some of you guys might be future opponents.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, now that you're all pro.
Souter's a name that's came up too. It's like, man, you just can't get out of this area for some reason. It's like there's so many other people to fight, but his name keeps coming up too. Souter was somebody that I could have fought when I had a guy I was going to fight last, I think it was November, December, on one of the Pinnacle Bank Arena cards. And I was actually supposed to fight someone else. He didn't pass his physical, so Souter's name came up, which I fought as an amateur. We had a really good fight. He won by either unanimous or split decision, but we had a war. Both of our faces were fucked up, and it was one of my most fun fights that I've had. We just stood and banged the whole time, but his name came up on day of, so Train was like, yeah, we're just going to bring him in. He's around 200 pounds. Like, let's do it. And I was like, all right, let me make sure it's all right with Montoya. I called Montoya up, and he was like, no.
Right?
Yeah, he was like, no. He's like, the risk reward isn't there. Like, he's not weighing in. It's the day of. You don't need to do, like, in the end, you're only getting paid. I won't disclose how much I'm getting paid, but not enough for the risk there. So, if anything, it's a respect to Souter. Being a tough fight for what we wanted, and but frick, man, yeah, I'll fight any of these guys that they put there for me. I love a rematch with Harris too, and I'm not like calling guys out like Souter, Harris, these guys because I have anything on them. Harris was one of my most fun fights. I like fighting guys that have the same goal as me, like to be a world champion. That's my goal. I'll come out and say it, and whether it happens or not, or you laugh at when I say that, I'll fail on that goal until I'm done. Like, that's my goal. So I'd love to test myself against Harris again. The only problem with that is making 170. I'm filling out a little bit. It was 215 yesterday, so of course I haven't been super strict on my diet. I just started this week being fucking greens and fruits and all the boring stuff, but I'll get down to around 205, 200 range, and then make the cut, no problem. But 170 is something I'd have to really, without that 3 pound allowance that I was fighting 70 as an amateur, I'd really have to knock down my. It'd take me a couple months to get down there, but I would love to. If I had a couple months, if I knew we had 2 months to train for it, 3 months to train for it, I would love that fight too. So he's been off doing camps in Canada or somewhere. TriStar up in Canada. He's a guy like me that I went. We both packed it up, went to be the small fish at a big gym again, and we're all in for this game. So he would be another good. We had a good fight the first one. I could do that one too. But.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like you might have to be all in if you do want to like keep competing in MMA. Like you do have to like think that okay, I'm at least going to be like UFC, Bellator, Pro, right? Or I feel like you need to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you need to think that you're going to be an actual world champ and be all in.
To be a world champion, yes. I mean, there's plenty of guys that are out there with 4-20 records that are doing it for a paycheck.
That's not healthy. Right?
So yeah, no,
yeah.
For sure, no. But like, there's guys that, but like, if you're serious about this and you want to be a world champion and you want to be the best, then yeah, you got to sacrifice, for sure. And like, I've sacrificed. I can't say that I've had it as rough as probably most people. I'm very grateful for the opportunity I have and the position I'm in with the people around me who support me. It's freaking phenomenal. But and I still live with my parents, so I don't gotta worry. I don't have a lot of responsibilities right now, you know. No kids, no like, just have my girlfriend, me, my classes I coach, which I make enough money coaching throughout the day to where I can just stay here all day and pay for my car and the things I need, and this is all I'm doing. So I'm very fortunate to be in that position. So
yeah,
when I say that, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I made all of these like tremendous sacrifices, like I gave this and that up. But I was like, for sure, if I'm gonna do this, you got to be all in. Like, if I were to have a kid right now, or like if it's like a big thing, but or like have to get another job, like it would be a lot harder. It would put me in a lot tougher of a position. This is what I'm trying to say. So you do gotta sacrifice. You gotta find ways that you're gonna train twice a day. You gotta be serious. Once a day isn't enough. Twice, sometimes 3 times a day, if you count cardio as training. 2-3 times a day in this sport. Maybe 1 off day a week. Sometimes 2, depending on how hard your sessions are. But it's got to be that, and you got to put yourself in a position where you're not the lead guy in a room, where you're comfortable, you know. Like, that's when I went to Factory X, when I started getting comfortable here sparring, and I didn't have that like nervous feeling of like, oh gosh, you know what I mean. And like, nothing on the people here, because I still get good work and good rounds out of people here, but I've been sparring the people here for so long that it's just good, like you get comfortable with it, you know what I mean. So going out to Factory X has been awesome. I was there for a few months to get that nervous feeling again and that uncomfortable feeling. So you got to do that. Harris is doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. And to make it in the sport, that's what you got to do. 100%.
For sure. What I kind of was just thinking about is, so if you go be the small fish in a big pond like Factory X, TriStar, wherever, do you worry about other like fighters who may be able to like, you know, piece you up a little bit? Do you worry about anybody actually doing that? Because I know like in jiu-jitsu, like if you see a black belt, like you'd be like, okay, they're not gonna hurt me, they know what they're doing. But with fighters, I mean, I think it's on a case-by-case basis, and somebody might be a wild card. Yeah. Or do you think that almost everybody's respectful? Or
you're always gonna have wild cards, especially going into a place like that. There's always guys that'll work with you. There's guys that'll put it on you. So it's like, to me, it's like old school versus new school mentality. So like old school mentality, it was sink or swim, motherfucker. Like, if you want to be a fighter, get your ass in there, go hard rounds with, you know, I think of old Premier before I started, and Minner always has this talk with me and everybody about how it was when he started, and it was like Jensen and Houston and Anthony Smith and all those killers, and he showed up to the gym and they're like, if you want this shit, we'll see, like, just throw them to the wolves, and if you can make it, you can make it. So that's like the old school mentality is like, you go a lot harder. New school is more of like, all right, I don't want to take this much trauma like
Mhm.
all the time when I fight. There's got to be a little bit. You got to have a mixture of both. You got to be a good training partner, but you also got to know when you need to turn up the rounds and get some hard rounds in. In this sport, there's no avoiding getting your ass whooped, and
Mhm.
if you want to be at the top, you're gonna get your ass whooped a bunch. Like even John Jones, like I'm sure now everyone looks at him now and they're like, "Oh, he's so gifted. He hopped right in." But I guarantee you, the first time he showed up to the gym and he wasn't beating the shit out of UFC caliber. Like he got his
Right.
ass whooped to get to where he got. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So that's just how it's got to be. And if you want to be a fighter, you're gonna get your ass whooped. But that's anything in life. You know what I mean? You got to go through you got to work your way up, and you got to seek uncomfortability. You cannot be comfortable in anything. If you're comfortable, you're stalling. If you're not, you're either getting better or getting worse. There's no in between because if you're staying the same, you're getting worse because guys like me or young guys are working to beat you. So you're either getting better or worse. There's no in between. So you got to be uncomfortable. You got to put yourself in those positions where you're gonna get your ass whooped. That's just how it is, right? How it is in this game. So.
Yeah, and I know you're focused on your next upcoming pro fight, but did seeing
Get your ass whipped from this guy when you walk in.
Yeah. Oh man, that sounds
I
terrible.
walked in and said, "I'm gonna be in the UFC 4 years
That's it.
ago." He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, young blood."
What did Minner say? It's like, you should probably make more money at Burger King or McDonald's.
Yeah. If you want money, this isn't the thing, man. You follow your passion, not money, because shit, unless your name's Conor McGregor, Israel Adesanya, all those top guys, fuck. I'd be fine. I would be a success for me would be making a living fighting.
Mhm.
Like I'm not worried about being rich. I just to make a living and be able to coach and be a martial artist. That's for me. There we go. Money would be awesome, but
Right.
yeah. So
Like I know like you're doing multiple practices a day and stuff like that, and you still have to like put in all the work. But did maybe seeing Derek getting the big call a few weeks ago, did that kind of give you some extra motivation to while you're doing that work anyways, that you need to stay ready all the time, just in for whenever big dogs call.
yeah, for sure. So Derek's a good example too. That dude. Hey Ryan,
Yeah.
how long has Minner been in training? 12 years, 14 years.
I mean, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. So there's a good example right there of perseverance and working your way through. It's not always going to happen right away. So it was motivating to see him get that call, but we know he belongs there. He's just got to, and he did what he could on 9 days or whatever it was, 1 week's notice.
Yeah.
So
Made weight.
Even then, that first 4 minute, that first round, he can beat anybody, and we know that. So I've trained with a lot of guys, high level guys in the UFC, and seen a lot of guys his size, and just to get back on that, he's just a good example of persevering. I mean, he's had his ups and his downs. I think his record's 24-10. He's lost to a lot of guys he shouldn't have lost to. I've lost to guys I shouldn't have lost to. That's how it is. But if you go in with the mindset of, like, it doesn't matter what's going to happen. That's what my last fight showed me out of anything. Like, they say you either win or you learn. But to me, like, you win or you lose, you learn every time. You don't you learn from a win too. But what I learned this last fight, even though it was 10 seconds, I got caught right away. What I learned is I know I'm gonna bounce back, and I know I'm gonna keep going through. I was back in the gym Monday. That next Monday, hitting pads. Doc had to come in and be like, "The fuck you doing? Like,
Right.
you gotta take you gotta take a couple weeks off here. You gotta hit like noodles or something. You didn't even want me going to the gym and like running. So like, I was so motivated after my last fight, and that's what I learned about myself. Like, there's nothing with Virgil or anybody I fight from now on that I will come back stronger for 100%. You can't keep someone down. So that's what I learned from Minner. He's a good example of that too. 10, 14, whatever it is, over 10 years in the sport. Had his ups, had his downs, but you keep going through, there's a way. There's always a way.
So you can just deal with the highs and lows of
You
like
deal with
MMA,
them.
just staying in the gym.
Yeah, so that's big too, is knowing that they're gonna have this sport. There's so many different things that could happen in this sport, MMA. There's so many different variables. Like, it's crazy. You just have to expect chaos, man. You gotta expect crazy shit to happen. Not everybody's gonna go in Habib and John Jones
Right.
28-0, and there's gonna be some crazy shit that happens, or you might get caught, or this and that might happen. But you can't. You gotta go in and not expect that to happen, but you just, in a way, kind of expect, like, whatever happens, I know I'm gonna stick through. I'm gonna continue to move forward. So I got. The way I think about it positively is, from my last fight, I've improved so much since my pro debut, and I went out and did my first camp at Factory X. And I didn't get to show it, right? So I came out 10 say I was in the best shape I could have been in. Best shape. 6 weeks, hard, like, great training up at Factory X, and it just goes to show, like, it doesn't always matter. You're not owed anything, you know what I mean? But I'm just excited for the opportunity to be able to go out and show my improvements that I didn't get to show last time. So you roll with the punches, man. You're gonna get hit, you're gonna fall forward and keep moving on. Not to be cliche on
Right.
here, but that's just how you gotta think. Because if you think you can't be beat, or you think it's gonna be a smooth road all the way to the top, the first time something happens that isn't supposed to happen, it's gonna knock you off course. And the big thing of that is being around people that will keep you on course, and that's why I love Premier
For sure.
Combat Center. So you guys around me, the way I handled this last loss, we're gonna find out. You're gonna see April 11th. It's gonna be a good fight. You're gonna be mind blown. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually handled, my last fight was actually, I think, the same fight as your last, or same night as your last fight.
yeah,
I didn't handle it well at all.
A year ago.
No,
yeah,
but
it was a year ago.
But anyways, now after like talking to a bunch of people who do know, like, I would have handled that totally differently. But yeah, you're not owed anything. And real quick, I wanted to ask about your nickname, Canelito.
Canelito, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
can you tell us how that came about?
So I started boxing before I started training about 4.5 years ago, but the first year, I think, I had a lot of boxing matches before I took my first MMA fight. And I started going on a tear in boxing, and so in the boxing community, well, that ad is a whole hell of a lot nicer than the MMA community. I love boxing, but I started off boxing, and me and Jose were going to shows, and guys were calling me Canelo because, Canelo Alvarez, the redheaded world champion, pound for pound #1 or top 3 at least boxer in the world. So guys were calling me Canelo because of my red hair. And Jose Campos, our boxing coach, when he gives you a nickname, it sticks.
Right.
A lot of people have nicknames through here.
Yeah.
When he gives you a nickname, it sticks. He started calling me Canelito, which is, it's kind of funny because it's little Canelo, but it also means little cinnamon in Spanish. So it's like a double-edged sword, and it just stuck, man. Like, everywhere I go, especially in the boxing community, guys are like, "What's up, Canelo?" or "What's up, Canelito?" and it just stuck, and that's where we are. So now I'm moving it to MMA. It took me a little bit to move it over, but that's what we're going with. I like it, so
You mean
that's how it came about.
Then real quick, like, you said that the boxing community is a little bit nicer than the MMA community. Would that be the fans?
No, the fighters. That's what I was talking about.
Talking crap.
The fighters, like, everyone's way cool, like,
Yeah.
way cool with each other. In MMA, I don't know, it just seems like in MMA there's more of this, like, if you look at somebody the wrong way or something, it's like, oh, what, you got a problem? Like, everybody has to be the baddest motherfucker, which, whatever, like, sometimes you gotta be that way in MMA, I understand, but in boxing it's a lot more laid back. It's like fighters all talking to each other between matches, and even in my experience, at least, the respect with your opponent before and after the fight, it's just different, and it's different in boxing a little bit than MMA. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just a lot more like, other coaches coming up to you guys, and everyone's just more like together, like one. So that would be the biggest difference, I would say, between boxing and MMA. So
Does it maybe feel like, I mean, I know it's like, they're both combat sports, but does it seem like boxing going into like a boxing fight that it might be more sport, and then MMA it might actually be like more of a fight?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I never thought about that. So yeah, boxing it has more of a sport feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good way to put it. MMA is like, it's a sport, but like I said, there's so many variables and there's so many things that can happen, and at the end of the day, MMA feels more like a fight than a sport. Like when you're competing, it feels like a fight and not a sport. It's like, look at my last fight as an example. In my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people's opinions, I should have beat that dude's ass. In the sport of MMA, I should have ran through my last opponent 100%, and I was confident too. But sometimes you come out and it's like, I played it like a sport. I kind of came out soft and not aggressive, and just like, I wanted to look good. I wanted to look too like crisp and be technical, and the dude just came forward like wild right hand, boom, like didn't care. So like, that's why I say, like, perfect example, my last fight, it's a fight. Like, that's why you're not owed anything in MMA. It's fucking stupid. Like, if it could just be like the hardest worker wins, but that's not how it is. That's why this fight, we're gonna be aggressive. If I strike out, I'm striking out swinging this time. I'm not striking out looking. Like, you can get caught trying not to get hit. You can get caught being aggressive. So that's one thing that I've done to my game. I've been a lot more aggressive. I'm fine wherever this fight goes. Wherever it goes. I'm not nervous. Like, I don't know what his game plan is going to be. If he's going to want it on the inside, want it on the outside, explode in, maybe take me down to the ground. I'm fine with all of it. All of it. I'm fine. I like my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling. If he wants to fight on the inside, fight on the outside. Whatever we're going to do in this fight, I'll be comfortable wherever it is, especially on the inside. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. It's hard for me not to smile when I talk about it, because I just think about how I've looked on video, and if people are expecting that to be the same me as I was a year ago, then that's why I'm smiling. That's why I'm excited, because I just know. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I'm gonna do, and we'll see on April 11th when I get the opportunity to show. So it's all you can ask for in the sport, opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't had one in a year, and I'm ready. I'm ready to show out. So and get the ball rolling and get back in. So.
All right. Well, that sounds perfect. We'll let you get back to resting up for afternoon practice.
Yeah, for sure. We got an hour, and we're boxing again in an hour and a half. So, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot.